I'm Melissa from Northline Express, and this is our WoodEze Expandable Firewood Rack with one extension and the full-length cover. Now, if you own a wood stove, an outdoor wood burner, or even a fire pit, you already know that you need a firewood rack. So we're going to show you today how our WoodEze Firewood Rack compares to some of our other competitors' log racks. We're going to go over the main features and how the WoodEze log rack comes out on top every time. The WoodEze Firewood Rack is easy to assemble. It assembles in just minutes, and it only requires two tools, a ratchet with a 1/2-inch socket and a 1/2-inch wrench, and you can put this entire log rack together. I thought this was supposed to be easy. Our WoodEze Firewood Rack is made in the United States, and it also comes with a manufacturer's lifetime warranty. The cover has a 1-year warranty. The log rack itself is made with 1.5-inch 16-gauge super strong steel tubing and has a powder coat finish, which is going to provide durability as well as weather resistance and keep your log rack looking great for years to come. And the best feature about the WoodEze Firewood Rack is that it's expandable, so you can customize this firewood rack to meet your firewood holding needs. Whether it's from 4 foot to 16 foot or even more, you can expand your WoodEze Firewood Rack to hold unlimited cords of wood. Let's start simple and talk with structural support. It's obvious if you look at our WoodEze Firewood Rack as well as our competitor rack, one of them has a huge difference. Our WoodEze Firewood Rack has structural supports every 4 feet. That means the middle of your log rack is not left unsupported. If you look at our competitor rack, there are end and end supports, nothing in the middle. There is a little brace at the bottom, but here's what the big problem is. Most people tend to grab from one side of your firewood rack, and that tends to be the side of the rack that's closest to whatever you're fueling. Now, it's easy to do that with the WoodEze Firewood Rack because every side is on an end so that you're not going to have wood toppling over. Let's give that a try on our competitor rack. If you were to grab from this part instead of grabbing evenly across your rack, look what's going to happen. You're going to have a tumbling mess on your hands with firewood just falling everywhere because that middle support's not there, keeping your firewood neatly supported. If we set safety aside to avoid the tumbling wood, there's 2 more main reasons that middle support is really important. One, it's going to allow you to keep seasoned wood separate from your unseasoned wood so that you can let one section be seasoning while you're using up last year's seasoned wood. Also, it's a great way for you to keep track of how much wood you're using each season as well. Most people are going to use their log rack with a cover, so let's take a few minutes to look at the difference between our WoodEze log rack cover and our competitor cover. Now, one main feature you're going to notice here is the difference in how this cover is not drooping and this cover is. Again, back to that middle support on our WoodEze log rack. It's not only going to do all of the things we mentioned previously, it's also important for keeping your cover level across your wood. It's not going to droop because it has that middle support supporting the middle of your firewood cover, so it's going to stay even across your firewood. Secondly, access to your firewood. This half cover over here is designed to slide down the side supports as your firewood gets lower, which means every time I want to get some firewood, I have to lift this up and try and hold out and pull my wood out from underneath. Now this is on a dry day. Imagine if you had a puddle here because it was drooped. Accessing firewood in the WoodEze Firewood Rack is easy. It's got this nice Velcro on both sides that go the full length of the cover. I can even use it one-handed, flip up this cover, and I can hands-free stack quite a bit of wood without having to mess with my cover at all. And the third and most obvious difference between the 2 covers is the length. Our WoodEze Firewood Rack cover is a full-length cover, which is extremely important when it comes to firewood. Most of us are using firewood because we're heating our homes in the winter with firewood, so we need seasoned firewood that's going to be dry. With this half cover, when your firewood is full, that leaves all of your firewood down here that's not under the cover exposed to the elements, rain, snow, and drifting snow. You're going to have to shovel this firewood out. Our WoodEze Firewood Rack from top to bottom is completely covered at all times. And I bet you're saying, well, wait a minute. This firewood is actually going to be able to season better because more airflow. WoodEze thought of that too. All you need to do is simply open up your firewood rack cover. There's Velcro on both sides, so you can completely open the front of your firewood rack so that this firewood rack now with the full cover can get just as much airflow to the firewood as the firewood rack with the half cover. Well, it rained last night, so we have a true comparison now on our firewood covers. This one, the whole, as you can see, front of the firewood is wet. There's a big giant pool of water down here at the end. Yep, wet. Let's take a look at our firewood rack the WoodEze way with our full-length WoodEze cover. There is obviously some water on it. It rained. There's beading, no pooling of water. And if we take a look inside, all of our firewood is completely dry. Not a wet spot in sight. Here's another competitor log rack that's been in use for a while. This particular log rack had a full-length cover, but still has two things missing. One, this log rack cover is designed to slide down as your wood depletes, and it also doesn't have that middle support. Take a look at this. The firewood is actually kind of low on this log rack, so now our full-length cover, it's over here wadded up on the ground, getting full of debris, and it's just rotting away. It's a waste of money. You're ruining your cover. And there's a great big tear here in these corners. Every single one of these corners is ripped and torn and rotting away from the design of the log rack. So keep it simple and make it easy on yourself. Make sure that you're investing in a firewood rack that's not going to be outgrown in a few seasons worth of use. The WoodEze Expandable Firewood Rack is going to continue to grow with you as well as your firewood needs. It's more functional, it's not going to be a hassle, so make sure you're keeping your firewood dry with the WoodEze Expandable Firewood Rack.